You ever look at someone and just wonder, how do they do it? Life throws all this crazy stuff at them and they just bounce back, while other people seem to get totally wiped out. Well, it turns out it's not really about how smart you are. It's about how you handle the tough stuff. And that's exactly what we're going to break down today, the actual science of bouncing back. Let's get into it.
I mean, let's just be real for a second. It feels like we're all trying to navigate this permanent chaos, right? The world today is just so challenging, so unpredictable. Everything is always changing. And honestly, it can be absolutely exhausting.
So that really begs the question, doesn't it? You put two people under the exact same pressure and one of them thrives while the other just gets completely overwhelmed. What is the difference? What's their secret sauce? Just think about the sheer amount of change hitting us. You've got social media, AI, the shift to remote work. It feels like the ground beneath our feet is just constantly shifting, It redefines how we live, like every single day. And it's not just social stuff. Entire industries are getting completely turned upside down. Economic stability, yeah, that feels like a quaint idea from a history book sometimes, doesn't it? And when you put all that together, the change, the disruption, what you're left with is this feeling of uncertainty. That's just the new normal. But here's the kicker. What if there was a way to actually measure and improve our ability to handle all of it? Well, it turns out there is. And it's a metric that goes way beyond the usual stuff we talk about, beyond just smarts, to get to the real heart of what it takes to actually succeed in this chaotic world. Okay, so for decades, the big focus has been on IQ, right? How book smart you are. Then came EQ, your emotional intelligence. And look, they're both super important, for sure, but they don't tell the whole story. There's another piece of the puzzle, and it might just be the most critical one. And this is it. It's called the Adversity Quotient, or AQ for short. It was introduced by a Dr. Paul G. Stoltz way back in 1997. And what is it? It's basically a score that measures how well you deal with challenges. It's a direct measure of your ability to get knocked down and then get right back up again. And what I think is so cool is what they call it. It's not just some fuzzy, feel-good idea. They call it the science of resilience. And that word, science, that's everything. Because it means this is a skill. It's something you can understand, you can measure, and this is the best part, you can actually get better at it. All right, so how does this actually work? How do you measure something like resilience? Well, Dr. Stoltz broke it down into 4 key parts. And he gave it a really easy-to-remember acronym, CORE, CORE. Okay, I absolutely love this line from the source material. It calls them the 4 horsemen of your personal resilience. But think of it this way. These aren't horsemen of the apocalypse coming to get you. No. These are the 4 horsemen you get to ride to conquer any challenge that comes your way. First up, the C in CORE is for control. And this is all about your perception. When some new adversity hits you, what's your first thought? Do you feel like you have any influence at all over the situation? Do you see any levers you can pull? Anything you can do to change things? And that's the huge difference, right? If you have a low sense of control, you feel totally helpless, completely overwhelmed. But if you have a high sense of control, you feel empowered. You believe you can actually do something to make things better. Okay, next up is O for ownership. And this is a really important one. This isn't about blaming yourself for what happened. It's about taking responsibility for what you're going to do next. It's about saying, okay, this is the situation, now I'm going to own the solution. Someone with low ownership, they're always looking for someone else to blame. They feel like a victim. But someone with high ownership, they hold themselves accountable. They're the ones asking, all right, doesn't matter whose fault it is, what can I do to fix this? The R in CORE stands for reach. And this is all about containment. Think about it. You have a really bad day at work. Do you let that negativity reach into your family life and ruin your entire evening? Or can you compartmentalize it? Keep it in its own little box. So if you have a low score on reach, one little problem can just spread and impact everything else in your life. But if you have a high score, it's like you've got these mental firewalls. You can keep setbacks contained so they don't poison everything else. And finally, we've got E for endurance. This one is all about how you perceive time. When you're going through something tough, does it feel like it's going to last forever? Like this is just your life now? Someone with low endurance feels completely stuck. They see the difficulty as permanent. But a person with high endurance, they see challenges as temporary.
They know they're in a tunnel, yeah, but they also know there's a light at the end of it. The problem is solvable. Okay, so that's the CORE framework. That's the theory. But let's get practical. How does this actually work in the real world? How can you use this?
Well, to make it all measurable, there's something called the Adversity Response Profile, or ARP. Basically, it's a test that gives you a score. Now, the average score is about 147.5. And that's super useful because it gives you a real, tangible benchmark to see where you're at.
And I have to share this line because it is just perfect. Think of AQ as a Fitbit for your grit. Isn't that great? It's not just some static number. It's something you can track, you can measure, and you can actively work on improving every single day. You know, when you think about it, modern life is a total roller coaster. It's full of ups, downs, and crazy unexpected turns. Your IQ and your EQ, they might be the ticket that gets you into the amusement park. But your AQ, that's your seatbelt. That's what keeps you secure when the ride gets rough. All right, so as we start to wrap this up, let's bring it all back home. Back to you. How resilient are you, really? So let's do a super quick recap. AQ is how you handle life's challenges. It's built on those 4 pillars: control, ownership, reach, and endurance. A higher AQ means you're more resilient. But here's the single most important thing to remember. Unlike IQ, resilience is not fixed. It's a skill you can build, you can develop, you can strengthen. And that really leaves us with one final, powerful idea. Look, adversity is going to happen. That's a guarantee. It's an inevitable part of being alive. But your response, that's not inevitable. That is 100% up to you. So the real question is, what are you going to do to strengthen your AQ?